Ready? This time I'd like to call the Nash County Public School Board of Education to order for the emergency meeting. And we'll call the roll. Ms. Chavis? Ms. Chavis? I see her. Or did. Mr. Edwards?
Present.
Mr. Bizzett?
Here.
Mr. Sharp? I see him. Mr. Dunn?
Here, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. Silver? I see Mr. Silver. Ms. Washington?
Here.
Ms. E. Bullock?
Here.
Ms. S. Bullock?
Here.
I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
What's going on?
Motion by Ms. Bullock. I have a second.
Here, my audio went out on one computer, so I had to come in on another.
Second.
Second by Ms. S. Bullock. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carried. Item number 3, reopening plan update. Dr. Ellis.
So Tuesday, our team put together Plan B starting January 25th. It seems that if some of the board members are having some reservations concerning the Plan B, so if there needs to be a vote on a alternative or whatever, I'm putting that out there because that's why we call the meeting.
What I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to go by each district. If anybody has anything to say, this will be the time to say it, and then I will entertain a motion if a motion needs to be made. Ms. Chavis?
I'm ready for the motion to be made.
I know, do you got any discussion first?
No, sir.
Mr. Edwards?
We stay the same. Let's roll.
Mr. Bizzett?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Sharp?
No, sir. Got a meeting to go to.
Mr. Dunton?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, it's all right. I might take a second.
That's fine.
I've never looked at our public meetings necessarily as a place for opinion, but rather just, kind of questions and clarification so we can move forward with direction. But I did want to weigh in. First, thank you to the parents, teachers, students. I think I'll stop counting at 200 plus emails that I've answered in the last couple of days and tried to respond to them all. There's a wide range, as everybody knows, of responses and input that we're getting. I feel like as a board member, our job is to kind of take the information we have and make the best decisions that we can. We are a low performing district. We have been for 6 years, I think now going on 7. At one point, I think it was reported to us that 70%, 69.24 of our middle school kids were failing at least one grade. In talking with Dr. Ellis this morning, in some areas that may have even gone up some. We have a tremendous gap in our district, for our district, and then within our district in education. And I'm frightened what might happen if we were to go to Plan C district-wide. The thought of not returning to school in class, like I said, it is frightening, and I think it puts us in jeopardy of possibly losing a generation of kids. I understand the risk. I'm not trying to sit here and say I don't hear people's concerns about their safety and well-being. We're not going to be able to eliminate it. I think our district has done a wonderful job. I think our staff has done an incredible job mitigating it to the best that we can. We went back Plan B with our elementary school in the fall. I think that was very well received once everyone got comfortable with it. And I would just like to say I would strongly support us continuing with Plan B on the 25th and getting our kids back into the building as soon as possible. And thank you all for a minute of your time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Silver.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can
Go
you hear
ahead.
me?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would just like to simply say that I've received, like all board members, I have received a lot of calls and emails in regards to the 25th for the reopening of our schools. I want us to keep in mind that we are not the only district, we're not the only school system that's faced with problems and having difficulties. But I want us to keep in mind that we have been selected to do a job, not a job for a portion of Nash County schools, but for all Nash County schools. And I think we have to also keep in mind that we have teachers, TAs, custodians, cafeteria workers. We have all that to consider, as well as the safety of our kids. I understand what Mr. Dutton just said, and I agree with that, but more important than starting school is the lives that we are responsible for. It only takes one child to get sick in this school district, and everybody will look at us as to why did we open schools back up in January 25th. I really and strongly believe that we should revisit that date and push that date back or push it up to open our schools at a later time. I know there's a lot of people that want the kids back in school, but we have to understand that safety, not only for the schools, not only for the students, but safety for all of the employees of Nash Rocky Mount Public Schools, the parents, the teachers who are taking care of their parents. We got to consider that. And we have to consider that we want all of our kids to be safe. I would be devastated if any of our kids got sick and transitioned because of us not making the best decision to cover all of our children. We've got to be concerned with our children, as well as being concerned about our teachers, our TAs, and all the employees of Nash Rocky Mount Public School. That's what's important. We got to realize that we've been given the task of making the best decision. I know people want to open the schools back up, but I would be grieved if any of my nieces and nephews got sick as a result of us opening schools when we're not ready to do that. We need to push the date back further, to be honest. We're not ready, we're not there. We gotta be concerned about our lives, the lives of our children, and the staff, and the administration, the whole entire Nash County Schools family. Thank you.
Ms. Washington?
Mr. Chair, I have no further discussion at this time. I have voiced my position at our meeting earlier this week.
Okay, Ms. E. Bullock?
Mr. Chair, I have too voiced my opinion at the previous meeting, but I would like to add a couple of things to that. Number one is that I would like to thank all of the parents and students and staff and community members who have taken time out to send emails to us to voice their opinions. I want them to know that I read them. I did not answer all of them because I was getting like 50, 60 emails each time I opened my email account. So I have not had the opportunity to respond individually, but I do want to let all of them know that I got them and I read them and I am taking their concerns into consideration. Secondly, we have been a low performing school now for what, 6 years? 5 at least.
Yes. Yes.
And I have said throughout each of those years that we needed to do something different. I take exception that we need to do it right now simply because it is not safe for our staff and it is not safe for our children. I do expect, though, that when we get back in school, that the interest in getting us out of this low performing status will be as high then as it seems to be now. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Bullock. Ms. S. Bullock?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to the students, parents, teachers, and other staff and administration for all the emails and calls and their concerns. Of course, the students and their progress and their education is number one, but we also have to consider all the other factors, and keeping these children safe. It has to be first. And it's also for our community. It goes deeper than just the transmission from student to student, but also student to teacher and from that population to the rest of the community. And it is important. And I am a mother, and I do have 2 students who are currently students at Nash County Public Schools, and we'll have another next year. I also taught for 6 years so that we're all clear. I am a stakeholder, and this matters to me on every level, but I will make sure that we protect as many people as possible. And there are too many people at risk, too many lives at risk right now for us to take that chance. I'm just not willing to take a chance with lives for grades. It's just not something that I think we should do right now. Of course, we all want them to be back. We want them to learn and flourish, but we want them to be alive. We want our community to flourish and continue to be well, and for those numbers to go down. So thank you to everyone. I appreciate all the contributions that have come up in these past 24 hours. We're now at hundreds of emails, and can't respond to them all right now, but they do matter, and I thank you.
Thank you. I've got a few comments I'd like to make. First of all, I appreciate all the text messages and phone calls from the parents, students, and also teachers. It was really enjoyable to see some of the comments and some of the talks we had on the phone. But the thing that really bothered me, we started getting a lot of text messages, what I call plagiarized text messages, where they were all the same. All it was signed by the name at the bottom. And the thing that bothered me most about those were they were talking about the reopening of schools, but out of all those texts, there was not one mention of a student. And one of the best texts that I got came from a student. It was a young lady that she did not say anything about herself. She was concerned about her friends, plural, mental health. And she also stated that she had one close friend that had already committed suicide. You know, that was a kind of hard to read. It had a lot of meaning. And then I look over at the, talking about low performance. I look over that we got an elementary school that has a 67.16 failure rate. We have a middle school that has an 83.70 failure rate. We have a high school that has a 52.62 failure rate. That's disheartening also. And you know, we voted January the 7th to not come back January the 11th to extend it to the 25th. Our central office staff are the same people that put the reopening plan together for our elementary schools. Elementary schools have been successful in their reopening. And that's why I have a hard decision changing the plan that we have voted on previously. Thank you. This time I will be open to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I move that we extend the opening of school until March 22nd. That will give us time to look at the metrics and make sure that the numbers are much, much better.
I second that.
Who was the second?
Donovan.
Okay, motion by Ms. Bullock, second by Ms. Chavis to extend the opening of school to March 22nd. Roll call vote. Ms.
Comment.
Chavis,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
I move that we open on Monday.
There's a motion already on the floor, Mr. Chair.
so that is a no, Mr. Edwards?
I'm unsure of how to answer that because I really don't know what the motion is. Can you please repeat? It broke out.
Okay, the motion is to reopen schools March 22nd.
No, I want the plan to go as it has been presented on Tuesday.
Okay. I'm a no. Mr. Bizzett? Lost Mr. Bizzett?
No. Did you get that?
Yeah, you vote yes or no?
No.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Mr. Dunton?
I vote no to the current motion on the floor.
Mr. Jenkins?
No.
Mr. Silver?
Yes.
Ms. Washington?
Yes.
Ms. E. Bullock?
Yes.
Ms. S. Bullock?
Yes.
The motion is passed by a 6-5 margin. Any other questions or discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I asked you, Dr. Ellis. This is the Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
So I would ask or challenge you to work in conjunction with our health department to try to ensure that we can have all of our teachers, all of our support staff, and all of those that support our schools to have some type of vaccination prior to that date. I've had several conversations with the folks at Pfizer to sort of champion with us. That's still up in the air. I also had conversations with our House rep who's in a discussion right now with the governor, trying to elevate our teachers and our school staff to make sure we get higher promoted in that vaccination rate. So hopefully by that start date, every teacher would have had the opportunity to get vaccinated. And if they choose not to, it's on them.
Okay. Any other discussion? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sharp, second by Ms. Washington. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.